Me too. I'm watching on YouTube right now.
Hey folks, we are live. My name's Kim. I work here at Duda and I'm so excited to welcome you all. I will give you guys a few minutes to join us. Um, Let us know in the chat where you are where you are watching us from. I want to see the most interesting places. Also, too, I'm going to shout out the Judah community a bunch while we're here, but this is technically our very first Judah community webinar.
Wow.
Ooh, what's up, San Diego? Toronto. Yep. All right. Nice, nice, nice. Oakville. Where's Oakville? I'm so sorry. I'm not worldly. I don't know where. Hello. Wie geht es dir? That's the one German sentence I know that I believe means, how are you? Or I said something really bad in German and I didn't intend to.
Possible.
It's totally possible. Again, welcome. I'm Kim. I'm going to give people a few more minutes to join us so that we can get all comfortable. I'm so excited to have these brilliant dudes here from Develop Mark. We have Ruan and Evan. This is going to be a really great talk, everybody. And I don't know if you guys have been poking around. Again, I'm going to drop the Duda community, but if you have not, what's up, Ruan, Connecticut? Eugenia, where's Eugenia? Hartford, yes. All right, another Connecticut fella. All right. The Judah community, if you have not signed up for it, it is a really great place for fellow Judah users to connect and to ask questions and to help answer questions, share knowledge. If you have not signed up for the Judah community yet, you should definitely do so. This is the first in a series of webinars, special webinars we are doing specifically for and by the Judah community. So hopefully we have a lot of Judah community members up in here. Ocean Island Beach. That sounds real. Oh, Ocean Isle Beach. That sounds real nice. Louisiana. Mongolia.
Ooh.
That gets the prize.
Hey, Greg.
Evan's my hero. Me too. Awesome. Okay, I'll give people one more minute and then we can get into it. In the meantime,
Oh, how are
Florida,
you?
what? I'm from Florida. I don't know where Navarro is, though. I am from West Palm Beach, Florida. That is where I grew up. And then I went to school in Tampa. Um, Guys, before we get into your into your presentation, do you want to give just a little bit of background about who you are and what DevelopMark does?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to really quickly give a shout out to Craig Morrell in the comments. He's actually the one that introduced me to Duda quite some years ago. So he was a user before it was even a desktop application. It was just Duda Mobile. So shout out to Craig. Shout out to Parker in the comments section. He works with us too. And I would imagine a lot of people on our team is on the webinar too. But DevelopMark is a full service web and SEO agency. And we work specifically with local service-based businesses. Evan is our head of design. So he's been designing for about almost 4 years now, which is just insane. When he came into DevelopMark, he was 19 years old, which is crazy.
Wee pup.
And I didn't even know web design. So somebody put Duda in my hands, and 4 years later, yeah.
Look at you. What a great success story.
Thanks. Yeah, so we really just try to focus on connecting things with our customers using Duda's applications and their API and some of the other tools that we use. So I think today's webinar is really going to be insightful for anybody that wants to learn how to almost automate the entire social media management and local SEO process by putting the work on the customer. And most of us, we try to take on the work ourselves, but that's not how you run an effective service. So we're excited to share what we've got today. And it's intellectual property, but we feel comfortable enough sharing it on a webinar.
Very intellectual, I will say. Emphasis on intellectual. Yeah, I think the one thing I will chime in here is when I pose this question out into the Judah community and in the Facebook group, if anybody is active in the Judah Facebook groups or the Duda community, I did ask like point blank, how many of you do have social media as a part of your portfolio, as a part of your services? And a lot of people said, no, I don't. It's I think that's something that should come from the client side. It's something that clients should own. And I 100% agree with that notion that needs to be something where there is internal ownership. Hence why I myself have a job in social media here at Duda. So,
Right.
but I think you guys have a really great case study for how the work can be put upon the client, but it's a collaboration so that they are providing you the content. It is coming from within the company, and they are still owning the presence. They are still owning the communications and the monitoring of their social channels, but it's an active channel. And that's really 90% of the work is being active and publishing consistently. So I'm very excited about this talk, and hopefully we can turn some of those minds around from you folks who are like, I'm hesitant, because I think you guys have a really great case study here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
excited.
So, shall we get into it?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Anton, here we go.
Okay, yeah. So, like Kimberly, gave us that introduction. Today we're going to be learning about how you guys can implement social media at your agency and offer it as a service to your existing clients, and of course, the new ones that you sign on, and how that also goes right hand in hand with Duda and the websites. So kind of the agenda we're going to go through is, first we're going to talk about an overview of the process so you could fully understand it from a high level. And then we're going to go in and kind of just look at it at a more in-depth level, a detailed level of the process. And then after that, we're going to go how you would set this up and implement it in your agency. So Ruwan, you could probably talk a little bit about DevelopMark.
Yeah, so DevelopMark, we were born in 2018. I think at the date of this recording, we're at about 14 employees. That might be a little bit higher now. But really, we're really focused in on local service-based businesses that want some of the services that we have to offer, but don't necessarily know who can do all of them at once. So we use Duda for 100% of our website builds. We were using WordPress quite some time ago, but we found that it's just very difficult to work with a bunch of builders with a team instead of working with just one builder. So as we started to scale to 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, one client was using Beaver Builder, one was using Elementor and WordPress. And it was very difficult to scale that way because we could just have one platform for all of our customers, and it made it a lot easier to scale. So last year was our first $1 million year, and we're very excited about that. It was a very, very big milestone for us to make that first $1 million. So now we're trying to figure out how to make our processes and efficiencies much better to get to that $2 or $5 million mark with our agency. And that's exactly what we're going to share here today. So like most of you selling services to local service-based businesses, we're going to give you a repeatable process that's going to allow you to rank in local areas, publish good social media content, and the best part of it all, have the customer submit that information right through your Duda website. A little bit about myself. I'm the SEO and digital strategy expert at DevelopMark. I don't like to, use some of the owner words because then you have to take responsibility for things. At this point, I've worked on definitely over 1,000 projects and probably have consulted over 1 million people on my YouTube channel. And that's really where my thought leadership comes into, of teaching people on a daily basis or a monthly basis now, since I've been busier, on how to actually utilize some of this stuff. And this is a YouTube channel where I go and show people over-the-shoulder trainings on how to actually do some of the stuff that we talk about, because nobody likes to watch somebody in front of a camera talking about things that they don't actually show you.
Awesome. And here's a little bit about me. So like Ruwan kind of said a little bit earlier, I've definitely done over like 500 projects just on Duda. Over the years, it's probably been 4 years since I've been designing in Duda. So I've definitely been a thought leader in terms of local service-based clients and their design thinking, and they kind of turned to me for that. And I've also been freelancing in Duda for a couple months, and that's going great outside of DevelopMark. And of course, I like mountain biking, and well-rounded person. And so kind of diving into the topic that we want to talk about today, the whole reason you would think about offering social media is kind of because clients do ask for that. But what clients are looking for is, ideally, they'd like their social media to be actively updated, and they'd like it to have a social media presence. There's a big problem with that, though. because ideally they should be posting content themselves. That's the type of content that does well on social media. But they don't want to do that. They want to have it done for them. And so the problem comes in with, you could post generic content as an agency, but that content doesn't exactly do well. And you can't really get out into the field with them and post the real content. So what have we kind of come up with? Well, we've come up with a system. It's an efficient strategy that you can create content on your client's social media and their website using the same content. And it's pretty low maintenance in terms of the result that you're getting as the outcome. And so it basically works like this. The client will give you content that in the form of jobs that they're completing. If they build decks and they complete a deck, maybe they take a couple pictures of it, they give you a little job description, and then they send it in towards you. From there, you could use that content to create a page on their website and a social media post about that. Generally, that's kind of how it works. And so throughout this presentation, we're going to break down the individual steps of that process and also how you could set it up in your agency. But basically what it results in is you can have content consistently being posted on your client's social media. It's relevant content. So it's not just, hey, happy Thanksgiving from business name. It's actual work they've been doing, and it's content that resonates with the viewers. And also with this content, you're able to post on the website and constantly update a portfolio page. This in turn creates, through dynamic pages, will create a in-depth portfolio on your client's site that also helps with SEO. We'll kind of break into how that helps with SEO in a couple later slides. And so the outcome that this produces is a social media post similar to the one that you're looking at. We kind of templatize it, and so what you're looking at is a template, but it's a social media post recapping what job the customer completed, and then there's a corresponding page for that post that's also linked in the post.
I think that looks, I'm just going to chime in as like, not only just my social media hat, but as a social media user, right? I will legitimately go and stalk a small business's Instagram to see like the product in the wild, to see customer testimonials. I'll talk a little bit about this later on, but I think like that before and after, that's exactly the kind of thing I want to see if I'm looking to hire a small business. So I think that's a really great way to be relevant and active on social media, especially for something that looks like, oh yeah, garage and gutter. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And here's a little bit more in-depth look at it. But definitely a post like this is it's going to perform better, but also the human element of when somebody sees it and how they feel about it and how they feel about the brand. It's going to be better when it's real content like this. This is a before and after that this client has done. They've changed their garage floors, and that's what people are looking for. They go to the social media. Maybe they want to see the work. Well, here they have it. And they also have a before and after they can look at, but a nice description of the job. And if they want to learn even more, they can click that link, go to the full page on their site. That's a dynamic page, and see the full in-depth information of the job. And that will just in turn help with SEO for your client. Here's a kind of more in-depth look at the page, and you'll get a chance to look at these pages. We also included a link in there to the actual page itself. But basically the pages that this process ends up creating is an in-depth page that talks about one particular job. So it's a portfolio page, and it contains usually the keyword of the service that they're doing and the town, because we collect that from the client. And so these pages do very well for SEO, but it's a natural way of creating them.
We have a really good question that just came in actually from A. Gabrielle Benmergui. Thank you. Is it possible to automate blog posts like this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Right now, Duda doesn't have connectivity as far as scheduling out your blog posts in Airtable. They might have that with Zapier actually, but what Duda already does have is you can schedule blog posts, so you can write them and then schedule when they should be posted, and that's native already in Duda. So if you're looking to automate blog posts, that's something where you could pre-write them and then schedule them to be posted. That's probably what you're looking for. And okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think with this process too, getting the client to submit information through the website, you could use it for a blog. You can technically make all of these portfolio pages blogs if that's the strategy that you want to do. This strategy specifically is getting these local pages to show up for keywords like gutter installation town, because those are the keywords that get the phone calls for the business. But really, with this process that Evan's going to show you, you can do this to automate pretty much anything that you need information from the client on. So it could very well be for blog posts as well.
And also, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say real quick, like viewers, if you have questions, just drop them in the comments. I apologize for not saying that at the top. We'll be answering questions as we go along. So just drop them in the comments. Go ahead, Evan.
Awesome. And so here's kind of a good slide to show the process of how everything breaks down. So this is after it's set up. This is kind of how it works in the content creation process. So the client will go to their own website and submit the content through an Airtable form. And I'll go over how you set that up a little bit later in this presentation. But basically, they're going to their own website and they're submitting a form. It's pretty short, just some details about the job they just done. And just to clarify, this can work. Our example was for a gutter installation company, but this could work for a videographer, like a wedding videographer. It could work for nearly anything where the client is doing a service and it's one job. They could kind of snap a couple pictures of it and give a job description. Anything that they could do, any vertical that applies with that, this process will work perfectly for. And I know that's a lot of Duda clients or small service-based businesses. So just going on, after they submit the content on their website, our team will get notified, and that's via a simple automation in Airtable. And we use Slack within DevelopMark, and so we'll automate a Slack message. But if you'd like, you could also send an email and get notified that way. And also Airtable integrates with tons of things. So whatever your company uses as far as internal communication, it probably has an integration with that, so you can get notified. And
sorry, question we got while we're on this topic from Phil G. Goldberg. Can Airtable be done on mobile devices?
So if you're asking if you could access Airtable on your mobile device, you can. They have an app. And if you're asking if the dynamic pages that it creates, of course, those work on mobile. But yes, Airtable does have a mobile app that you can use and edit that page data in if you'd like to do that on your mobile phone.
Nice.
And then, so that after our team will get notified and after the client submits content, from there, we'll get a little Slack message and we go into the Airtable. And then from there, that's where the client's content that they submitted, that's where it will get sent. So it's in the Airtable and we're looking at it. We can see they've just completed a new job. From there, we'll take the content that they gave us and move it into the Airtable that's connected to the page. So from there, we'll create a page on their website and then also the social post using the content that they submitted. And we send that social post to a couple different mediums. And from there, it's up to your agency. They could do whatever they want as far as dispersing the post on different platforms. But we'll kind of get more in depth into each of these stages in the coming slides because I know it's kind of a lot.
I think this is so brilliant. Again, like this is a really great, I think this is a really great answer to those folks who are like, I'm hesitant about getting content from my client. You've basically set up this really easy process. I think that's so great. We have a question from Sarah Lieberwith. Would it also be conceivable to use this for the catering and hotel industry? I don't know if you guys have any catering or hotel clients, but would love your thoughts. I certainly have a thought on this too.
Yeah, good question. It would definitely work, and I'll kind of explain how it would work in that industry. We don't have any clients in that specific industry right now, but in the catering industry, you're going to get called out for a job. They're going to go there and set up all the catering. What they should do at that point, when it's looking like a successful job for them, they could take some pictures of the food that they have made, how the event is going well, take a couple pictures. And then what they would do is upload that through this form. they would give us some details, say, hey, we got called out to this job here. They were looking for cakes and all these other type of things. So they kind of give us a job description about what they did. And then we'll take that and create a dynamic page on their website. And on that page, it'll be a portfolio page. Hey, we just completed this new job. We got called out to this place. We had to make this food for the catering. And then kind of just describe the project a little bit and make a good portfolio page. And with that same content, we create the social post. So it could definitely work for that industry and many others, as you could already start to think about.
I mean, I would 100% agree with that. Like, Sarah, I think catering and hotel, I absolutely am stalking you on Instagram to see how your rooms look, how your property and your grounds look, how the food, if it's catering, looks, what events you've worked at, what events have you catered. So it's absolutely conceivable. And I would definitely recommend doing something like that, having some sort of presence, especially if it can be so visual, like you just said, taking photos of the events, taking photos of the food, the properties, etc. Going back real quick to Phil G. Goldberg, he actually meant to say, sorry, I meant, can clients upload the information via a mobile device on Airtable? I'm assuming, yeah?
Great. I love this question. And it's very important that they can upload it on a mobile device. So just to answer the question, they can do that because that submission page, and I'll talk in depth about the submission page, but it's essentially an Airtable form just embedded on the page. And so the Airtable form fits nicely on mobile, but it's important that your clients could access this on a mobile device because for some of our clients, like their contractors, they actually have their technicians in the field fill this form out. So it's really enticing to the business owner, this proposition here that you could offer them, because they don't even have to do the work to have their social media and their website updated. They could put that work on a technician or an employee within their company, and they could just fill it out on their phone when they're in the field. And it's a huge benefit that they could fill it on their phone because they could just snap a picture from their phone right as they're uploading the Airtable form, and it allows them to upload them very easily.
Okay, I'm going to throw in one more question and then we'll move on, and then I will contain the questions for another time. Justin Craddock asked, do you charge per post? It seems like it would be easier and free for them to just post on social. Oh, I have some thoughts on this. I'll let you guys take this one.
I mean, I'll answer that one first. I think at that situation, Justin, yes, it may be easier for them to post on social, but most of your clients just don't want to deal with it. And they're getting a lot more than just a social media post. They're getting a website page that's optimized for SEO with the contents that they submitted. They're getting a review link that's being sent to the customer of the job they completed to ask them to leave them a review online. They're getting social media posts. All of those photos are going on Google My Business. And Evan's going to talk about some of the advanced things that you can do with services like Yext, where you're actually updating all of their directory listings at once with the photos that they've submitted. So although it is easy for them to post on social media, they're getting a much bigger bang for their buck, spreading it out through the web using you as a service. In terms of your question of do you charge per post, you can create packages of that process. Right now, we're doing about 4 a month for most customers, and then we're doing a la carte. They can do more on a monthly basis to actually bring more projects through that actual flow.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah. In this, we're going to go over how you could implement it. And then as far as how you would like to charge for it and everything, your own agency, you could figure that out because I know it's going to be very different depending on who you are and what you'd like to charge for it.
Yeah. Anybody selling local SEO ongoing should be doing this because local SEO ongoing, if you're charging $500, $1,000, $3,000 a month, it's really important that your customers showing up in the local areas that are important to them. And this is a natural, authentic, organic way to get content to show up for those towns without it being all duplicate. So this plays much more into posting on social. The social posts bring them back to the site, but you're also giving them an ongoing strategy and they're engaging with you almost like a software, which is going to keep them retained on your service.
Awesome. And so I'll kind of get into the first process where they submit the content. So it happens through a submission page that we create. And so this would be, you create a new page in Duda, and then you go over to Airtable and grab that form. And I'll show you how to do that. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But you just embed that form on the page. And then this page is hidden and no index. So no normal visitor could access it and start uploading content. That would obviously not be great. And so we hide it and we password protect it so that only the client can access this. And then our team will get notified after they submit that form. And this just happens through a little automation in Airtable. But Airtable is very accepting to different types of automation. So whatever medium that you guys communicate through on your team, you could definitely find an integration for that. And at the end of the day, you could always send it to an email and get notified that way. So after we get notified, we're going to, in the notification that we get, it's actually a link to the Airtable record. And so we'll just click on that. It'll bring us right into the Airtable. And then from there, we could see the client submitted content. So when we get content in from the client, it will look a little bit about something like this. So you can see it has the date completed. These are the things we're asking them for in that form. And so we'll get the content and they'll give us information that looks like this. Now, obviously this content isn't ready to go right onto a website. And so what we'll do is we'll take this information and then write up a headline for the page, maybe a sub headline, a project description. And then from there, that's kind of all you need. Just upload the photos onto the page too. And that's kind of how you take the user submitted content and then create a page. So yeah, here's kind of a little bit of elaboration on that. This is what the user submitted content will look like. And then we'll turn around and take the location that they completed the job in, the service that they did. And now we have a headline because we could say hot water heater repair in this town. And those are very great keywords for SEO and titles pages. And so that's kind of an overview of how the process would look. And now I'm going to get into how you would kind of set this up and the inner workings of it, because I know a lot of you probably have questions. So the setup process kind of looks like this. First, we have to create that dynamic page. So if this is a catering company, you probably want to make sure that there's a spot on that page for the images, that gallery to go, because you definitely want to show images for a catering company. Then the next thing you're going to do is create the Airtable. So depending on the design of your page, if you have a gallery and a heading and a project description, well, you're going to need corresponding fields in your Airtable for those things. So those of you that already have used dynamic pages, you'll know what this means. And if not, definitely look into dynamic pages before moving on to something like this. And so after you create the Airtable, you're obviously going to need to add it as a collection and then link it to the page. Then from there, now that you have your Airtable created, and I'm going to break down each of these steps individually. But after you have your Airtable created, you're going to create that submissions page. That's that hidden no index page with the Airtable form on it, so your client could access it and submit the content. You're going to want to just set that notification in Airtable. It's very simple, even though it sounds a little bit scary. And then after that, you're going to want to create that social post template. And after you do all these things, you don't have to do it again. You do this for one client, and then month over month, they can upload new content. This is just the setup. And then after that, you're just adding records into an Airtable and then creating social media posts from a template. And so I'll kind of get into the dynamic page and break down why these kind of perform for SEO and also how we easily create them with the content provided by the client. So yeah, you're going to decide what type of content you want to show on the page. So in this event, this is a kind of garage floors and gutter client. So it looks like they did some sort of garage door job here. So on each of these jobs, it's very visual. So we're definitely going to want to include a gallery and then a project description. And that's pretty standard for a contractor-based client. So we're going to design the page fit so that you could show off some images of the job, have a project description, and include headlines so that it also does well for SEO. And then some things you have to keep in mind when you're making this portfolio page, make sure that whatever you have included on the page is reasonable for the client to upload every time. So, if you kind of design your page around having a 1,000-word project description, it's kind of unreasonable to expect your client to provide that every time. So make it easier for them. At the end of the day, they're going to be in the field, and they might even have a technician doing it, and you want them to upload these. So make it easy for them. Yes.
Before you move on, okay, yeah, okay, you saw it.
Okay, yeah. And so this is the same as Duda collections. However, this is not an internal collection. This is an external collection. So, and it's using Airtable. For external collections, you have a couple options. You have Google Sheets and you have Airtable. We choose Airtable. It's a little bit more robust than Google Sheets that I find. And they also have this form function. So for this process in particular, it's going to work best in Airtable.
And then Ollie, I think that your question will be answered shortly. So I will wait to get to that one.
Yeah, great. Yeah, definitely. That'll be answered later on towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, depending on the page that you create, obviously you just have to create an Airtable. Those of you that have used dynamic pages before, you know that you need to create an Airtable field for each of the pieces of dynamic content on the page that you want swapped out. So after you create that page, then you go over to Airtable, create an Airtable that has a field for each of the dynamic content pieces. The next step in the Airtable is you're going to create another table inside the Airtable base. And this will just be to collect those client submissions. So those of you that have used Airtable before, you know that they have different views, and you could easily create a form. And even if you don't know Airtable and you've never used it before, this stuff is pretty simple once you go in and use Airtable. It's basically a more advanced Google Sheet. So you could definitely be able to do this. But what you're going to want to do is separate the Airtable into two tables. One will be that'll be where those submissions get dumped into, and then the other one will actually be connected to the page. And so this way, if they were just in one, you could have the client submit them directly and then directly create a page in their site, but that would be a nightmare because it would be random URLs. So you definitely want control over what the end content is on the site. So that's why we kind of separate the two. So after you create that submission table, you're going to want to edit the form a little bit. Just make sure those questions make sense for the client. And you're setting this up for each client. So your questions for a catering client might be a little bit different than one that installs decks. So when you're asking for a project description, maybe instead of project description, you could ask the caterer, what type of catering, how is this catering different than a typical job, or what type of food did you supply? So your questions might change depending on the client. And then from there, you just take that embed code. You could share this form and grab an embed code and then embed that on a Duda page. And I know I already talked about this page a little bit, so I'll kind of skip past this, but you just embed it on that page and make sure nobody else can access it other than the client. And you do that by password protecting it and then giving that password to the client. Then you set up those notifications. I kind of touched on it a little bit before, so I'll just go past. And then this is kind of how the process works a little bit. So when the client submits the content, it goes into the client submissions table. We just take that and then put it into the page data table, which is connected to the dynamic page. So then it will create a dynamic page. And then what you're going to do is create the social post from the template. So that you will then use every time. So for us, we use Canva, and that's where we have this lovely template that we have here. And you could obviously use whatever type of format you would like to then create that social post with. And this is kind of the step where there's a lot of options that you could it's up to your agency what you'd like to do and how you'd like to share the social posts. You could, from this step, connect with something like Hootsuite or a multi-platform posting app like Yext also, and then disperse this post on multiple platforms. You could also set up another table in your Airtable to do this. So take it a step further, you could automate those stuff in Airtable within the same base that you have those pages being created.
Yeah, and the beautiful part about this too is you already have the caption usually based on what the client's already submitted through the website. You already have pictures, high quality images of the work that they've done. So you have enough ammo to create a really high quality social media post that links back to their website. You can see the bit.ly link there, and that links back to their website. And that's really good for SEO too, when social signals are being sent back to certain pages. So it's really relieving to the customer that they're building up a portfolio on their website, they're getting social posts, and it's improving their SEO value for the towns they're already doing work in.
Yep. And
Yeah,
just
and all of it is automated. Like, just to chime in, like that's really great. I mean, obviously you have to put in some creation into the imagery and into the captions and copywriting and stuff like that, but like a good chunk of this is automated, which is amazing.
exactly coming off of that, sure, there is some setup required, but if you look at the end result, if you wanted to do that without dynamic pages, creating static pages, that would require a lot of work, and it would be not feasible. You wouldn't be able to offer something like this. So dynamic pages allows you to easily create them and constantly update the client site. In turn, they have a website that's constantly being updated, and also a social media that's constantly being updated.
Mm-hmm. I Craig had a question, Craig Morrill, earlier. Do you use a word spinning tool to expand out this content? I think it was from like 5 slides ago. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's a good question. So when we get the content from the client, we ask them for the project description, we ask them for about 4 sentences. They'll usually give us that. And then from there, we'll just copy edit it, just make sure it's website ready. So we typically won't need to spin it, but certainly that's something that you could do using like a content AI spinner.
Nice. Ollie says, looks great. Love how it flows. I agree, Ollie. That's
Awesome.
great.
That's the goal, is to create that two-way communication relationship with your customer. So they're always communicating with you and they feel like something's moving forward, right? Instead of them having to reach out to you for updates, you're kind of creating this relationship with them where you're blogging for them, you're doing this content survey with them, you're doing all the other services that you do for them. And anytime somebody engages with your software or with your service, it's a good sign that they're still happy and they're still interested. So this is a really good way to do that and knock out a bunch of things at the same time.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, putting on my social media hat, I know I'm coming from a different perspective, being on a more corporate side versus working with SMB clients on the agency side. But I think the same thing applies. It's all about education. It's all about banging the drum and being like, hey, because once they start getting into that rhythm, I'm sure, where they're submitting these photos and these captions via this form, now they're looking for opportunities everywhere for social media. And it might get to a point where hopefully they're maybe submitting too much content. And that's a great place to be in, where they are constantly thinking about, oh, is this something that could be added to my website? Is this something that we promote on social media? And that's the exact kind of mentality that you want to plant in their mind.
Exactly.
Definitely. So,
any questions? I know we were answering questions and I think I caught all of them. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. I think we caught all the questions. If we haven't, please jump in. I'm going to just jump in with some really quick tips. I know we're getting towards the end here. Nathaniel says, I have a hard time getting content from clients. I think this is this is the problem we're all trying to solve, getting that content from clients. Do you guys have any tips that you would like to throw out?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first tip is just making sure that you have a consistent communication schedule with your customer. A lot of these people that are in the field doing this work, they're very busy managing their business. But if you can make it good enough for them to actually submit the content, and that often comes with, we're going to automate your review generation with text messages. Inside of Airtable, if you put the number field when they submit a content survey, you can actually send out an automated text message using Twilio where it'll say, thanks for choosing business name. Please leave us a review online. And this way they're getting incentivized to actually do that. The more you can make it incentivized for them to submit the content is very critical, because they're busy. They don't understand the value of it. Reviews generally seems to get a business owner's attention. Every time a business owner gets a bad review, it doesn't matter if they haven't talked to us in 12 months, they'll talk to us. So if you focus it on getting reputation management done with this content survey strategy, then you can get them to talk to you a little bit more because they're always focused on how they can get more good reviews for their business.
Yeah. I think this is the perfect segue into my slides. Anton, if you want to toss those up. Again, I don't know if I properly introduced myself at the top, but I'm the head of social media here at Duda. And I know I come at things from a different perspective, but the tips I am going to provide right now are hopefully pretty universal for the most part. So I will use my 11 years of experience to provide hopefully some help in this area in terms of getting content from your clients and really building up their social media presence. So can we go to the next slide? Oh, wait, I can control this. Sorry, Anton. As this presentation is called, One Does Not Simply Go Viral, I think a lot of us have clients, or in my case, sometimes internally, my coworkers are like, 1 million likes. I want to go viral. I want to have my post liked by Barack Obama and retweeted by I don't know, Chris Rock. He's on my brain right now, obviously. But that's obviously unrealistic, and I don't think we ever need to go viral. Not for SMBs. No brand needs to go viral. It's nice, but that's not the goal. The goal is to build trust and goodwill and to provide feel-good content. At the end of the day, if I'm a small business, like I said, I'm sure everybody on this call has done this, where you have gone and you've stalked them on Yelp, Google reviews, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. This is where I am looking for that last push to make sure that I trust this company and I want to buy from them. So make sure that you're providing news and information, social proof points. Social media can also support your sales initiatives, where you can talk about any sort of sales that are happening. And customer service. You'd be surprised how many people are reaching out to you. They're sliding into your DMs because they had an issue or they have a question. They deserve a smack. Oh God. Oh, we don't want to go in this territory. We don't need to talk about Will Smith right now, although I would love to talk about Will Smith after this conversation. But anyway, the goal isn't to go viral. Really, it's to build trust and goodwill. This is a very funny post right here on the right that is from a tiki bar near me. And if you go into the tiki bar, they have really funny Nicolas Cage pillows. I don't know why, but that's their thing. They have all these different memes of Nicolas Cage on pillows. So they'll often work Nicolas Cage into their Instagram post, which, if you didn't recognize, that is Nicolas Cage as Santa Claus here, looking very wild-eyed. And so of course I went and stalked them on Instagram because I want to know about their upcoming karaoke night. I want to know about their happy hour specials. So again, think of it that way. Think of it in very simple terms. What would a potential customer or returning customer want to see? That's really it, not to go viral, although going viral might be fun. Ask yourself, if you are trying to think of what kind of content to source for your client, what kind of business is it? Is it an online shop only? Is it a brick and mortar? Is it a traveling service? Is it a hybrid? Because, for example, the difference between an online shop and a brick and mortar, I want to know if that brick and mortar, I know we have just are coming out of a pandemic, and one of my favorite bakeries, again, and I'm shouting out all these businesses near me, there's this really great French bakery near me that was closed during the pandemic, but man, was I stalking their Instagram to see when they were opening? I sure was. I wanted to see when they were coming back, and sure enough, they made my heart jump when I saw this post. We are back open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Again, your customers want to know that. Oftentimes, if there are special events or holidays, I will go to their Facebook page or their Instagram to see if they're closed that day. That's a really great way for me to know immediately if the business is open or not. Should I even make the hike out because maybe Google hasn't updated those hours for that special day, if that makes sense. Okay, we've got my clients are realtors. Man, if your clients are realtors, I think you have so much potential. I want to see those house listings. I have a friend, actually, funny enough, she just became a real estate agent. and she started an Instagram account specifically for her business. And she has told me through her own connections in real estate that they have found clients purely from Instagram posts. So I think Samson, you have a really great opportunity there. You said surprisingly they don't have a significant social presence. Man, Samson, man, we need to get on top of that. Let's talk, because like I think again, it's very funny that you mentioned that, because I do have a friend that is in the real estate business as we speak, and uh she is building her Instagram presence as we speak because her fellow realtors have told her that they have gotten business purely from Instagram. So there's definitely an opportunity there. And then what kind of content would a customer want to see? I know I've barked about this before, and Evan, you showed some really great examples of this, but to me, I'm there for before and after photos, product in the wild photos. Yeah, it's nice to see a product like with nice lighting, clearly highly produced with a really nice high res image, but sometimes I want to see that product by an actual user, by an actual customer. So if you see people that are using that product out in the wild and you're not taking those photos and then resharing them, you're missing an opportunity to show real world examples of happy customers actually using the product. Um, and then customer testimonials, of course, news, special hours and events. And then this is the thing I love to remind everybody, no matter what, what industry you're in. You don't have to be on every single social platform. You can absolutely be great on one of them. Just choose one to start. I know, again, going back to clients, sometimes they might be overzealous. They want to be everywhere. But what if I'm not on Twitter? I would say try it out on one platform and see where you go from there. Are you seeing that, oh, actually, we're not actually reaching people on this, maybe try a different platform. But I think for the most part, if you've got a very visually heavy business that can have photos, that can have videos, you absolutely should be on Instagram. Um, Facebook is a Facebook is a kind of I feel like it's a bit of a it's evolving, just put it that way. And I have a lot of opinions around that. But Facebook might be another second great choice for a lot of people. And so just be selective, and better to be active on one social channel than barely active on a bunch of them. That is all that I had to say. I will plug the Duda community yet again. If you are not a member of the Duda community, check it out. It is just community.duda.co. And it is a really great place for people to collaborate, fellow Duda users. If you have any questions that have come up during this presentation, I am actually active in the community. You can always buzz me on there. And so are Ruan and Evan. They are both in the community as well. And I've actually tagged them in a post recently promoting this webinar. Okay, so going back, Ollie, you said, Ollie Blackmore says, are there any plans for Duda to hook up with a social posting app as an add-on? I don't know this, Ollie. I will look into it. If you, yes, if I will find that out and I will post that in the Duda community. What my answer is, what I learn.
And then just a note here, like Kim said, we're in the community. If you have any questions about kind of the things we went over today, I'd definitely love to answer them. And even if I get enough questions, I'll make more resources elaborating on kind of how you would set this up and do it, and how you could take advantage of it for your agency.
Awesome. Guys, I think this is such a brilliant process that you put in place, and I know we'll have some follow-up content, so stick around. We'll probably do a blog post for sure on this webinar and your guys' process at blog.duda.co if you want to check it out. But thank you so much again. If there are any last questions, drop them in the community now. Otherwise, we'll give you back 10 minutes of your day. Nathaniel says, these are great videos. Appreciate your time. Please do more. Awesome. These are going to be, we have so many great webinars all the time. But like I said, this is our very first Duda community webinar. And this is just the first of many to come. So stick around. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Barbara. Very interesting. Thank you. Again, thanks everybody. Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Ruan. I'm so excited that we got to talk to you today. And again, find us in the community if you have any further questions. But Ollie, I'm gonna look into that one for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.